Welcome to Greek for a Week. I'm glad that you are looking at another video here as we continue working through the book of 1 Peter. You can see we are looking at verses 8 and 9 in the larger paragraph of 7 through 11. I mentioned last week we're still under the theme of conduct toward others. But again, I've labeled this part 2 because I believe that this is conduct toward believers, whereas the preceding paragraph 1 through 6 primarily dealt with our conduct toward unbelievers. So Peter works through these two verses in this way. This is how I translated them. Above all, having your love fervent toward one another. Because, there's our hati, because love covers a multitude of sins. Be hospitable toward one another without complaining. So here, what Peter begins the pra-pantone. So technically this would be a prepositional phrase indicating rank or priority. That's why we could say above all. And Dubus in the Baylor Handbook, he has put this in the front. You could say he has fronted this for emphasis. And then our ace, how tus, is directional. That is, it's to each other or to one another. And then again, what is it that's toward one another? And there is the love here. There's our noun and its article. So it's toward one another. And the context here, that's where I placed the word having. It's a present active participle, masculine, nominative, plural. It's from the verbal form echo. And again, we've kind of, I think this would be good to make this participle what they would call a participle with imperatival force. That is, have above all the kind of love that's fervent and it goes toward one another. And then, of course, our hati, which is really not unusual, the hati of cause. It begins a causal clause that then cites an Old Testament text where it's love there does what? It covers a multitude of sins. Again, the having, that's some exegetical decisions you got to make. Again, I've placed that having there, that participle, as one with imperatival force. Then we work our way to verse 9, and here in verse 9, you have a predicate adjective here at the beginning. And that predicate adjective is the word for hospitable. Most of your translations say be hospitable. You could say, because it's a predicate adjective, you're a hospitable one. Again, it seems to have an imperatival force to it with an implicit este, which would be you all. Again, I think, again, I'm kind of torn because I want to be careful with participles here and predicate adjectives, just immediately taking them to an imperatival force. But I think Peter is kind of directing things that way. And then lastly, you have the ace aleilus. Again, I take that directional. You're being hospitable toward one another. So I put the toward here, and then obviously one another. And then the toward for direction in verse 8 was the ace as well. Trust this has been helpful. Again, I think this is conduct toward others, meaning believers. Verses 8 and 9, we will look at verses 10 and 11 next week. Trust this has been helpful. Have a great week, everyone.